All right. Are we good to go?
Yeah. Go,
All
go,
right,
go.
live in. Hey, this is Wicked Spursy, Mike, Steve, and Dave, and ladies and gentlemen, and family and friends, and anyone else out there. We,
Pets,
we brought the D
strangers.
back this week. The D is here for you, everyone's favorite. Gentlemen, nice to be back with you. I apologize for my absence, and I'm going to start with a disclaimer, and I'm going to say, like a person who did not manage their time well between Christmas and New Year's, I have failed to be able to sit down and watch our last two matches. So I am actually going blind on our commentary. You guys are going to have to carry me like you normally do. And I'm just going to try to be the point guard who just, dishes the ball to you and lets you do your thing. Are you guys up for this?
Absolutely, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like just one of our normal podcasts, pretty much, right? Dave's clueless and tries to keep it moving. That's how it rolls.
Fake it till you make it, Dave. Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, Steve, my man, how you doing? What's going on? And yeah, tell us about life.
Yeah, things are going pretty good, pretty good. My wonderful sister sent me a care package of an assortment of beers from the Zool, I assume that's how it's pronounced, beer company down in Knoxville, Tennessee.
There
Zool,
is no
like
And
Dana, only Zool.
yeah,
only
right.
Zool.
Is it
And I
like
gotta
ZUL or how's it spelled, Steve?
it's XUL.
Ooh, okay, there
And
we
the
go.
U has like one of those like double dots on the top. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
going with. I mean,
No,
every
umlaut.
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 There you go.
yes,
Yeah.
that's it. That's it.
We don't talk
But
about Germans.
I'll tell you, like every single one that she has sent, it has had like this really impressive horror themed can art, which I've been really digging. Like I've got an Elm Street one sitting in the fridge. I've got a Pennywise the Clown one sitting in the fridge. I had that werewolf yesterday.
Nice.
Uh, and it's interesting to me. So the last time I went to a brewery in Tennessee, it sucked ass. And the last time I went to, they have these things where like you go, you pay for a wristband and you can like, pour yourself samples of a whole bunch of different shit. And everything we sampled there was, to quote my wife, mid. It was just, nothing was super impressive. So I had like a really low bar for this. And I gotta say, this is probably by a huge margin the best beer that I've ever had that's come from Tennessee. The barley wine I had yesterday was really good. This one, I honest to God, like if I can get her to send more of this, I would be curious for hey Mike on this one because to me this is a top tier IPA.
No way.
Yeah, it's a triple IPA, 10.1%. It's super balanced. It doesn't feel overwhelmingly hoppy. Um, so I'm really digging it. Really excited to try the rest of it. But yeah, if you're down in the Knoxville area,
Nice.
and Zool, if that's how it's pronounced, we do have that sponsorship slot available if you want to, get in on that. Um,
We will
but yeah, and
gladly.
also speaking of Knoxville, I had a good conversation with Brian Price from Knoxville Spurs, who
Wow. Nice segue on that one, man. Did
yeah,
you
it's
intend to do that or did that just
no, it
happen
just came to my
organically?
mind. Just came
Well
to my
done.
mind. Because so the deal was, so my sister down there, she owns a pizza place, and they were doing this charity drive, and nobody showed up, and it was sort of embarrassing because they had partnered with a charity down there, and it, they were hoping to have raised either money or non-perishable type goods. It's basically like an orphanage type situation. So I had reached out and he took the Facebook post and he's like, I'll share it with Knoxville Spurs and see if we can get something. So really good of him to do that for a complete stranger just
Nice.
on the whim. But that's Spurs for you, right? Bringing people together, doing good, making things
Nice.
better in the world.
Steve, I want to make a connection and then I'm going to go to Mike. You mentioned sponsorship just a couple minutes ago, and I have a really cool announcement for both of you and for our loyal and loving listeners. So University of Vermont men's rugby team, which you guys know my son Nate is a part of. They obviously have their season and their off season, but during the summer season they have just kind of a local rugby team that they play for. So it's not university affiliated, but they are playing in a large tournament this summer and have to put together their own kit and needed sponsorship. So I am happy to announce that the Wicked Spursy podcast is the front and center kit sponsor for the tournament kit for this rugby team of UBM fellas. So excited about that. We
I'll
will
take
have
a three
access
XL,
to,
please.
yeah, exactly. We'll have
Are they
access to
European sizes
those
or
to
is
those.
it American sizes?
I
Because
haven't sorted those details out. Just,
okay,
they were most worried about, making sure we got the logo first. So that is taken care of. We're good to go. But yeah,
Absolutely.
we're gonna end up with rugby kits in our hands, and it's gonna be good.
wow.
So
It's
stay tuned. Stay tuned.
only
For
up for here. Get on the rocket ship, guys. We're
Darn
Good thing
taking
you
right.
said
off.
that. That's fantastic, Dave. Good thing you said that too, because
Mike is also
Steve
sponsored.
lost me at Tennessee.
You lost you at Tennessee. Why is that? What
I
lost you
don't
Well,
about
know.
because
that?
Tennessee kind of just sucks
I
in
just like
general.
no. The second he said the word Tennessee, all I could think about was Arrested Development.
Ah,
Tennessee,
the song, not the
Tennessee,
show, right? Yeah, yeah, I got you.
take me to another. Yeah, that one.
Great
Yeah, this
song.
is damn good though.
I'd love to hear you use that, Mike, in a Hey Mike, affiliated song. But you can't do it tonight, obviously. But Mike, here's the thing. I'd love to know how you're doing.
Well, Dave, I had that my bout of COVID last time we had talked. Um, I was feeling better.
Wait. Hold on. Can I gotta interrupt you. Can I interrupt?
You're good
so
anyway.
so I was gone last time we recorded. You guys did a fantastic job, but I was cracking up because Steve asked you like, "Hey Mike, how you doing?" You're like, "Well, I'm gonna be pretty brief." But and then you
We
go
turn
into
into
like
this big long
a
thing.
10-minute diatribe about how you got diagnosed with COVID. It was like, damn, Mike is filling time for me not being around tonight. So I'm sorry that I made you do that. But anyway, back
So I
to
had
you, buddy.
COVID. I had COVID. Got
There
over
it is.
COVID. Got on a fucking plane. I tested negative. Everyone. Wore my mask on the plane. But so I went to New Orleans for New Year's. I went to see a whole bunch of live music. We got to see Papa John Grow. We got to see Little Feat. The reason I went was for Billy Strings, bluegrass. Phenomenal on New Year's Eve. Um, and we almost went to the NCAA national semifinal game.
Almost didn't get there, huh?
Yeah, because I didn't know the rule that New Orleans you're not supposed to stay for more than 3 days. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's an unwritten rule. By the way,
I
Mike, what's
drank
the name of the place where that game was played?
that was in the Superdome.
What's it called?
The Superdome, which
That
is
sounds like an awesome place, actually. The
it's
Superdome.
it's
That's pretty
smaller than the
crazy.
Ultradome.
There it is. All right. Inside joke, folks. Sorry.
Anywho, yeah, so went down there, my best friend since 8th grade, James. And he lives down there. Got to experience a lot of really cool stuff. Got to meet his aunt and his aunt's partner. And they were both lovely, wonderful human beings, ultra rich. Ultra rich.
Super,
Like
super rich.
no, ultra. Past we've gone past super. But that was really neat. They had a piano in their house. It's a 1914 Steinway that had been played by Alan Toussaint and a bunch of the Marsalises, like New Orleans legendary musicians have played on this piano. And so I had to sit down and play it. And I did Twinkle Twinkle Little Star just for Wicked Spursy Lane listeners.
Defaced the piano essentially.
Yeah, I didn't want to touch it, and his aunt PK, she was like, "Why not? That's what it's there for." So it was wonderful. They were wonderful hosts for us. Fed us, tried to fed us drinks, fed us breakfast. Went to a number of restaurants. My favorite of which
Was about to ask you that.
it was an Israeli place actually called Shaya. Wow, hot pitas coming out every 2 minutes. Like if you had a pita in your hand, they were bringing more over to drop on your plate. Went to a great brewery. Went to a number of different spots. Bourbon Street, I would suggest you have to go if you've never been there. and then never go back to Bourbon Street again.
That is a good
Frenchman
assessment.
Street,
I
Frenchman
concur.
Street is where I found myself right at home.
Hmm.
Really, really enjoyed all of the music clubs on Frenchman Street.
What about you talked about food. What about a favorite drink from that little venture? Anything stand out to you?
Yeah, I had a beer at what was the
You a beer?
I,
Miguel?
I have to look back at my photo so I can remember the name of this brewery because I totally forgot. And I gave the beer a 5.0 too. I did a Hey
Oh, I
Mike
recall you
on the
sending that
Insta.
message. Yeah.
But yeah, it's Port Orleans Brewery. Um, yeah, and they made this stout with a creamy base. So a chocolate soft
Creamy
serve
as in
ice cream,
soft serve ice cream. Gotcha.
soft
Gotcha.
serve ice cream base.
Yep. Nice. Okay.
And it was like drinking a fucking frozen hot chocolate. It was
So
wonderful.
kind of like an ultra milk stout, basically,
It
type of thing.
was insane. And once James sends me the beer, we'll drink it together. But that all that said, um, I had a great time. Had a phenomenal time. I'm very, very tired. And before I had gone, I had planned this out to be doing um a dry January. So here
So,
I
so,
am.
so, Mike, one final question before we move on. So after leaving town over the holidays for 5 days, and I'm assuming maybe getting some of the other family members sick with your COVID that you acquired. What are you doing for
Nobody.
your lovely wife, Amy? After you got back, how are you kind of re-entering the household respectably?
um we have this thing that we it happens a lot with partners and spouses. It's called trust. and and she knows that I like to go have fun. And when I go have fun, I do it responsibly. Not like I did when I was in my 20s, but like I do now that I have a wife and family that I have to support.
Very
I was
nice.
responsible. I was smart. We okay, we did a lot of drinking.
So you're
And
saying she was happy for you that you had the opportunity, is what you're telling us,
yes, yeah, yeah. She told me to go initially. So
which is good. But I
I mean,
just
I'm
want to
still
encourage
I'm
you,
still pumped
as a
about the
loving
place.
husband, figure out when you're giving her that same shot. That's the key. You gotta
Oh
give her
yeah, she
the
has
girls'
the
weekend away.
opportunity anytime she wants.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but like, and I did spend the match at, and which we'll get right into, at New Orleans Spurs. I just want to shout out New Orleans Spurs, and Jorge, their chairman. They were very gracious hosts. Um, had a fantastic time there. Had 6 beers during the match. Um, during the match, that's how we started New Year's Eve.
Steve, only
And
Mike keeps track of that, you know?
I'm still trying to piece together how he knows we're going to talk about the match. He last I checked, you, the D in Wicked Spursy, were the host.
okay,
You
It's
can
true.
lead
so
us
This is
let's
true.
anyway.
let's get we're done with
It's
my
true.
piece.
I'm like the Jerry
The
Springer on this little enterprise,
Happy New
right?
Year,
Like I
everyone. Dave,
Hey,
Happy
if
New
Dave
Year.
wants to run this in a completely different direction, if he wants to talk about, I don't know,
actually, Mike, I would like to hear a little bit more about your COVID diagnosis. Can you tell us about what kind of test you used?
What kind of test?
I'm not
where
really
The
did you
asking you that question.
stick
Yeah.
the
It was like
Q-tip?
the AccuView
Was it a
or whatever it is, or
rectal test, or what would you use for that?
the View or whatever it was, VUE. I don't know. It was the nasal swab shit. And
No, the View's the show that you watch during the day.
Yes, it
oh yeah,
is.
Whoopi Goldberg.
I
Oh my God, we're already off the rails, and I'm not even
Yeah.
drinking.
This is perfect. We got
am.
10.1 Steve over here. Absolutely. Let's go back to 10.1 Steve, or whatever your alcohol content is,
10.1
Steve.
Steve. Maybe that
Tell
should be
us
my name.
and again, I got nothing here. I've read about the matches, I've seen some highlights, I've read all the comments, I've listened to you guys and your chatter, so I have a mental picture, but I saw nothing. What do you want to talk about when it comes to Spurs matches over the past week?
Um, so they were two night and day matches, right? So when we met Mike and I to preview these matches, I kind of said that, not getting any points is just an abject failure. And I mean that. Not getting a result against Brighton just was terrible. And it's mostly because I truly believe if both teams were fully fit, we would just destroy it. Like the way that Ange has the team set up, like they were able to take advantage of way more than they should have. And we didn't have the capacity to really punish them at all. Um, it was a really shitty match. I was very frustrated a lot of it because there were moments where everybody was playing at sort of this high level, but they were few and far between. And most of the time it was lethargic, it was slow. It wasn't typical Ange ball. And credit to the guys who got out there and they were still able to pick up a couple of goals. But we should have done so much better against Brighton than we really did. And honestly, I'm kind of shocked that they were able to turn it around because I thought the Bournemouth match would have been the more challenging for them, given the sort of form that Bournemouth have been in. And for them to have that's sort of the other thing that I'm starting to notice with Ange. When we get a bad result or two in a row, three when we had that really rough period, um, the team doesn't withdraw. Like you don't see that sort of like diminishing returns. They start to drop off. Things just get worse and worse and worse until somebody gets fired and Ryan Mason coaches the team for the rest of the season. Um, we saw a fight. They bounced back. They were tighter. They were a lot better at Ange ball at the whole thing, start to finish, defending, attacking, transition. It was incredible. And I don't know how much of that, excuse me, is down to, some of these guys. Unfortunately, we picked up a couple of injuries and we had players that had to come in. And so I don't know if there's a mentality aspect where either the new guys coming in or the players around them feel the need to like up their level to sort of compensate, or maybe they're feeling like they need to, they owe it to the injured player to go out there and do the best they can. But it was a solid look across the team. Lots of really great play. I'll let Mike talk a bit more about the specifics of the players, but just as a whole, the way that they were set up, like as soon as Sarr went down injured, I thought, wow, we're going to get overrun in the midfield. And that really didn't happen. I mean, there were times where, yeah, they were bypassing it pretty easily, and Bournemouth were making these very big, very dangerous looking attacks happen. But by and large, no, the team as a whole kind of lifted their level. It was a much different game than we saw against Brighton. Um, and then poor Valise at the end. I mean, you could see the hunger. This guy he's picked up an injury. It hurts. You can tell it hurts. And what does he do? Somebody plays the ball through for him and he's trying to run onto it.
Somebody, Hoybier, is that who you're referring to as somebody?
Yeah, and look, that's what you want Hoiberg to be doing, right? If he's on the field, you want him to be playing those sorts of balls. It's just unfortunate that this poor kid got himself injured, especially after he was in a good spot to score against Brighton. Um, it sucks for him, but yeah, I'm really pleased. Ange even showing the passion there on the sidelines, trying to take who was it, Steve Cooper, take him out and beat him or whoever it was. Oh no, sorry, they were just wishing each other a happy new year. That's right.
Happy New Year. Yeah, that's true.
That was
Happy New
against
Year.
that was yeah, that was the Bournemouth, yeah.
Yeah, that's oh man. But yeah, great team performance. Huge shout out. I know I let Mike talk about the specifics, but I just got to give a huge shout out to fucking Vicario. I mean, talk about a classy guy. This dude against Brighton kept us in the game for as long as he feasibly could. I mean, yes, they scored four, but without Vicario, like if that was Forster, if that was Hugo, we were losing that game, 6, 7, 8, nothing, Vicario, man, I don't have enough positives to say about him, but it's the Bournemouth game that I really want to draw attention to because, we were talking, was that just last week, Mike, about how people were saying he's lucky?
Mhm.
Right,
He's
yeah.
just he's a
Yep.
lucky keeper. And Bournemouth had that free kick, and I caught this. Somebody on Reddit had posted the clip because I don't recall seeing it live. But Vicario, you could hear him telling Richarlison to like move just
Mhm.
a little bit more. And when they played that free kick in, Richarlison was in perfect position to flick it wide. And it's like, he's not lucky. He is an incredibly smart keeper with really good instincts. He kept us in that game for a couple of dangerous chances. Bournemouth's finishing was really lacking, but the shots that they did have on goal, Vicario's up for it. He's commanded that defense well. I mean, we were playing four fucking fullbacks and he's still getting them organized. I have to laugh that the conceded goal came after Eric Dyer came on. So I'm chalking that up to classic Dyer. But yeah, we got a game coming up on Friday, a cup game coming up. And then we have a nice little break until Man United. So hopefully, I mean, I know we're losing some more players to AFCON, and Sonny's already off for whatever South Korea's doing, but I really believe that even the shitty C teamers are looking forward to like upping their level. They're going to come out, they're going to try. Ange has got this team. I think Romero said it best, playing like a family. They're looking out for each other. They are clearly getting along much better. The vibes are just upbeat. They're pleasant, and it's just such a good feeling, even when we lose, to know that the team is still moving in a positive direction.
Good handover to you, Mike. What do
Well,
you
this has
think
been
about?
Wicked Spursy, and next
Hey, talk
week,
about the players. Talk about the
Yeah,
players.
all Steve talked about was big picture setup, little Vicario, and then he said, "I'm gonna let Mike talk about the players." So it's all yours, my man.
um,
Or did the 6 beers at the match cloud your assessment?
no, I've rewatched it.
I do know this on 1.5 speed. I do know that actually. Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about Brighton, because like Brighton, Brighton is one of those games that like Wolves, we went out there, um, and we didn't have a lot of our first choice players, obviously because of injury. Um, we had goddamn Emerson Royale playing right center back. Um, we had steady Ben Davies over on the left. Destiny came back. The game was just weird from the start. It didn't feel right from the start of the game. Um, and I don't know what that is, but whether Emerson is not a center back. He doesn't play center back. He's never really been taught to play center back. He just doesn't play that position. And I think that a lot of what our defensive lapses were in that game, a lot of those giveaways are on Emerson, and it's not his fault. The guy's a fucking, like, I think I said it last week. The guy's a tryhard. He does go, right. Like, he does go. He does his best, but when you're not coached up enough to play that position, you know it's not ever going to work out. Um, that said, the entire team as a whole was pretty fucking garbage. We don't really have to talk a lot about the game. Um, Sonny looked haggard. He looked. It was one of the
Good
worst
word.
games. It was one of the worst games I've seen out of every player on the field, except for Vicario. um, Actually, you know what? Lo Celso came in and actually looked really nice. He looked really good. He got, I think it was Richarlison he came in for. Lo Celso came in, looked really nice in some relief time. But a lot of that could have to do with like garbage time. They're already up, Brighton's already up 4-0. The thing with Brighton, and what they did really well, and what they do really well, is that they press high very well. And we talked about that too, is that they're relentless. They're a relentless team. Bournemouth also presses high really well. So that Brighton game was, it wasn't just another one of those one-offs, I think, where you have a howler every once in a while. Again, you're playing with guys out of position. You're playing with guys who don't want to be there anymore. You're playing with like Dejan Kulusevski, who, like, every single game there seems to be one boneheaded move, right, by some player. And and that was like the only argument for me, and the same I think Ange had actually said it too later on, was that why did it take so long?
Hmm.
Because it was clearly a penalty.
Yeah.
Clearly a penalty. He pulled the guy back. He's like, as soon as that guy starts to make separation, you let the jersey go. You know, that guy went up to kick the ball because he knew Decky had a handful of jersey, and he was like, if I go up to kick the ball, this guy's pulling me down to the ground, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, so Decky had a lapse, which caused him to miss the next game. Now on to Bournemouth. Um, the Bournemouth game was actually kind of fun to watch. It was very interesting. It didn't seem like there was a lot of like the typical Ange ball, the typical like quick 1-2 passing. You know, I think the fellas out there uh really kind of treated it like we have to play a little safer. It looked a little bit like not so much Mourinho ball, but kind of like a little more Conte ball, like slightly attacking, but more stuff on the counter attack because of the way that players like Solanke is like one of the best pressing forwards that I've ever seen in my time watching soccer. Like he's an incredible talent. Um and and I think that we kind of played a little bit of Ange ball through, through that kind of counter attacking type of system. We set up our attack through the counter attack, if that makes any sense. Um, that game was great. I think Ben Davis was back on his game for that. I think that Sonny scoring, Richarlison getting another goal. That's 5-5 for him. But we have to mention this young man because he was completely crushed coming off the field after scoring the opener. And that's Papsar. What a beautiful finish from him. Lots of times he winds up to kick the ball, and I'm like, oh shit, here we go. He's either going to send it wide, he's going to send it over the top. He put in a really nice finish on that ball, and he was playing really really well. He's been one of our most consistent players, along with Pedro Porro all season, right? Um, and I think this game showed like what Steve was talking about, a little bit of the team's resiliency. Resiliency, is that a word? Resilience.
Resiliency. I think
Dave, you're
that's what.
muted.
Yeah.
How do you do this to me? I think
Techno Dave.
you can go either way. I think resilience or resiliency are both
So
acceptable, but
so
research
yes,
department will get on that for you.
okay, perfect. So they're super resilient. The team's super resilient. They came back. They did play it a little bit safe, I think. Um, and I mean, that's okay. You have to do that. You have to switch up your tactics every once in a while. You have to switch up the way you play in order to suit whatever is going on around your club. And as we know, with Ange Ball, come injuries, come like exhaustion, physical exhaustion, especially when you're playing with limited squad options, right? So a lot of these guys are playing full games, playing full 90-minute games, and it's showing. Pedro Porro, it's showing on him. He's slowed down a lot. You got guys like Decky never really slows down. Sonny is slowing down a lot. Even Ben Davis is showing some kind of lapses in judgment, and that's probably
Oh,
due to exhaustion.
blasphemer! How dare you? How dare you
How dare I? What?
say something bad about Ben Davis, Captain 7 out of 10? How
Oh,
dare you? Hey, Mike, can I tell you?
he's also
Resiliency,
Captain Milk Toast.
well,
What?
resiliency versus resilience. Got an answer for you.
Oh, perfect.
Resilience is the word. Resiliency is kind of a non-word, but resiliency has been used enough in modern times that it's become acceptable as a synonym for resilience. So either way, you were good, but technically resilience is the safer of the two choices.
Thank you, Wicked Spursy Research Department.
Yeah,
See,
they crushed
I
it.
knew
They
I
crushed
knew we
it.
were paying those motherfuckers for a
We
reason.
might actually pay them this month. I think you start off 2024 with a bang. Pay the
Yeah.
research team.
I'm
So
not doing
I think
Yeah, me
Sonny
neither.
leaving us with a goal, Sonny leaving us for the month of January with a goal, was great. I think he really, felt he needed to contribute after that Brighton game, and because that Brighton game was not good. Uh, this game featured a lot more of Vicario. It featured uh it featured Brennan Johnson. I mean, I think we have a future star on our hands with Brennan Johnson. Um, he's got to learn how to control his speed a little bit, and once he controls his speed, he's going to control his touch. Once he controls his touch, he's gonna start finishing balls, and I think that the sky's the limit for him. I love Brendan Johnson. I love watching him play. I think he's always kind of got a smile on his face when he's playing too, and that's another thing. Um, but Papsar was absolutely crushed, and it was really sad to see. And we talked about Valise too, and Valise was probably going to get the start against Burnley right in the FA Cup without Sonny here, and he's been the guy who's been here, right? So now I don't know. I'm not going to come out and say that we're going to see Dane Scarlett. I don't think we'll see Dane Scarlett. He might be in the team for Friday, but I think it would be silly, absolutely silly to put Dane Scarlett into a match at all at this point.
I mean,
Just
at some
coming,
point we're gonna get fucked into it, right? Like somebody's going down injured on Friday. You just know it.
right? Sure, and maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the case, but we have players out there that we don't need to play Dane Scarlett. We could put players. We can have Richie up front. We can have Brendan Johnson. You never know. We got a surprise, a beautiful, wonderful surprise the other day in Rodrigo Bentancur. So you never know. Like we could get another January surprise. We could have a signing coming. We could
There are
have
rumors about January surprises, like Van de Ven is
Mickey
back,
Van de Ven. He's been back
allegedly.
training, and I think it's actually been confirmed, has it not, that he's going to be ready for Man U at
There are
least.
questions about whether he'd be ready even for Friday, is what I've seen.
I don't even know what to feel anymore because
Right?
Bentancur just popped up out of nowhere. So who knows what's gonna
I feel
He was
happen?
like
like
I feel
he was
like
like 6 weeks ahead of schedule.
I feel like Ange is
Yeah.
like Bill Belichick, basically. I feel like there's like some definite shenanigans going on when it comes to the injury reports.
Yeah, why not?
Boys, I have a handful of questions I want to throw out. Is it okay if I do?
Mhm.
That depends on the nature of the questions and how
They
impactful they will be to certain people on this
Naughty by
podcast.
nature.
they are all over the place. One will be very impactful on our friend Mike, so I'm just going to give that fair warning.
Ooh,
Question number one is I need to ask both of you a favor. I have a good.
no, I will not sleep with you, Dave.
I have.
Sorry.
Damn. This has been Wicked Spursy, everyone. Thank you and have a good night. I have a good question I want to follow up with after a really important segment. So I just want to ask the two of you to make sure to not let me get away with not asking this question because I think it's a pertinent and perhaps poignant question that I want to.
Just ask the question, Dave. Just ask
No,
the fucking
it's
question.
too early for that.
Oh,
Second
God damn.
question is, you thought this wasn't going to happen, but I promised you, dad jokes with Dave are back. So here we go. This week's dad joke is,
Yes.
how do you follow Will Smith when it's snowing outside?
You look for the Fresh Prince.
Steve just nailed it. Steve, well done. You are a man
I
of
love it.
distinction, gentleman, and a scholar. Impressed. Well done. Proud
That
of
was
you.
lovely, sir.
That was good. Good job. And you see Mike perk up. He's going to use that one later. That's the scary thing.
I'm gonna use it
Absolutely.
immediately following this.
All right. Third question. Most important question. One I haven't gotten to ask for a few weeks is, hey, Michael San.
Yes.
What you drinking?
Well, as you know, we've talked about this, right? Have we not? We've talked about the fact that I am going on a dry January. Um, it's not my
He's
favorite thing.
10% through, folks.
It's not
10% through.
not my favorite thing to do. I've never made it through dry January. I've tried a, I've
There's
tried
always next year.
a number of times. But it's time to push on through and make a change, right? Um, so I am drinking an NA right now. And I did say that dry January, we're going to do a series of NAs for this. So,
NA standing for
given that,
not amusing, right?
not amusing, not at all good.
Not at all good.
So this one is going to be from Kit, KITNA Brewing. They are a Kitna Brewing. Okay, it's in Portland, Maine. And they called it a starter kit. It's got 3 different kinds of
Kitna, wasn't there a quarterback named Kitna back in
John
the day?
Kitna. Yes.
Yeah. Any connection? You think
Seattle,
there's something
Seattle.
there?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's possible. So, oh, there. All right. This is interesting, but it's an interesting looking beer. It is a hazy IPA, non-alcoholic, so less than 0.5% alcohol. These beers, this beer is brewed with malt, hops, and yeast. That's what it says: water, malt, hops, and yeast. And near beer. It's a near beer, so it's in honor of our lovely Italiano ITK master, and in honor of January being the open window. We're gonna go with "Here We Go" from Kitna Brewing.
Steve, I don't know about you, but I am just fired up and excited about this.
Here we go, confirmed.
Combination of
Here we
yeast,
go, confirmed.
Malt, hops, and water. Here we go.
Hop water, check it and see.
Well,
As opposed to, no, I'm not going to say that. Steve, how's your big triple going down as you enjoy?
Dude, this is delicious. I literally I was texting my sister trying to see if she could get more. But I guess they don't have any more right now. That's kind of like up here, they sort of rotate through different things. But I was checking out their list of 4-packs that they have available, and I was like, next time you're there, let me know. I'll Venmo you. Just ship me up a bunch. Like,
is it a big enough hit that like you can only have one, or is it?
Oh,
you
yeah.
Two in you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. If I had
you're
any
be
more
asleep
than this,
if you have any more, right?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like.
That'd be fun.
But it's dangerous because it's like like I said, it's balanced, so I can drink this thing, and
fucking crushable, bruh.
I don't notice the 10.1. Like I'm halfway through it right now, and I'm like, oh,
that's good stuff, Steve. I like it. I like it. Mike, how about what you got over there? Tell us about the look. I see an interesting color. Let's talk about the head. It looks a little soapy.
It looks soapy, very soapy head. It looks kind of like a session, like
kind of does.
It's kind of it says hazy IPA, but it's a hazy IPA because it's probably not filtered, I guess.
I guess the alcohol's in the haze, basically, right?
Yeah. Obviously they're not putting yeast in it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how. I didn't. Look
yeast was one of the ingredients you read out.
Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeast, water, hops, and
I wonder how they make this. It's just I haven't gone into I should have gone into the chemistry of it, but
unprepared again. Damn it.
Unprepared again. Here we go.
Jeez. What, have you been on vacation all week drinking in New Orleans?
Yeah. So off the top, it smells kind of like an IPA. Definitely smells hoppy, a little bit skunky, actually. Oh, that's pleasant.
Wow. Ooh, that's pleasant.
Interesting.
It's pleasant.
Interesting.
All right.
So here's the thing with this, guys.
Here's the thing,
guys.
They're low quality or low quality.
They're low quality beer.
I haven't had a sip of alcohol today. They're low calorie beers. However, 18 fucking carbs in this thing. 18 carbs.
So what's that tell you? What's that tell you from
Shitload
a
of protein.
scientific standpoint?
They've I think that, well, from a scientific standpoint, the yeast hasn't eaten all the sugar and turned it into alcohol.
Sure.
So
It's still got a lot of sugar.
it's got a lot of fucking sugar in it.
Yeah.
So they can't have used much yeast in it. But that means I'm not going to be able to have another one of these tonight because I'm trying to stay healthy. And 18 carbs is a lot.
True.
So anyway, this beer, near beer, it smells good. It tastes quite pleasant. I actually kind of like it. It's very fizzy, which I kind of expected. You get that with a lot of these session ales and stuff. The session IPAs, session IPAs, I should say. And I'm not familiar with any of the near beers. I had some O'Doul's back in the day, and what's the other one? The Cost Holler.
Cost Holler NA. Yep.
Yeah. So we used to, and that's supposed to be like one of the best. So the Cost Holler, just to make a little funny story about this, we used to use for bets. So if you're in our friend group, if you had a bet that you had to make, the loser had to drink a warm Cost Holler. That was the rule. Yeah, it is pretty fucking random. Yeah. We used to call them mouse claws. I don't know why, but they were legitimately one of the worst things that you could ever put inside your mouth. And Dave,
just gonna pause there for effect.
And Dave, think of the worst thing you could put in your mouth.
I'm right here.
Anywho,
I got nothing to say. To say.
Yeah. Dave's position in life doesn't allow him to say the things he wants to say right now. So that said, yeah, the mouse claw. You don't want to lose a bet. So, but this is not bad. This is actually very good. And I don't know what my NA scale is going to be, but I
was going to say, is the NA scale the same as the standard scale? Or this is new territory here. I guess we're still on the 5.0, 0 to 5.
We'll do 0 to 5, but like,
what do you think?
Oh God, I have to send this to Dave.
This is not crushable. It's not
actually. Yeah, hold on. We have not.
Look, this is the time for tuning.
Total just crapshoot here. So we've set our standards. You're setting the NA standard right now. So let's hear it.
It smells a little skunky, like I said, kind of hoppy. It's very pleasant. It doesn't hit me as a hazy IPA. It doesn't seem like it has a ton of hops in it.
Steve, this sounds like Mike is describing the way other people describe him. Smells a little skunky, very happy, but it's very pleasant overall.
Well, at a fish Mike's show, I would smell a little skunky. I like it. I mean, I like it. Again, you can't drink a ton of them because they're 18 carbs. That's a lot of carbohydrates. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say 3.5.
Damn it.
Damn it is right.
We were so close.
Quick psychology break. Steve and I we didn't talk about this. We instinctively knew new scale being set, you're going to go for the evens because you just go for the evens. That's your default. So what did Steve say? 3.6. What did Dave say? 3.4. And you come in with the odd right in between. I think we know you pretty well, Mike. I think we pretty much have dialed in, but we both missed it by a bit.
Look, I mean, if you're gonna go to a barbecue or whatever, you're driving. You had the family with you. You're driving.
You're drinking a kitten. Here we go. Is what you're telling me.
Yeah. I like it. It's a good beer.
All right, very good. How about a song? Give me a song that goes with this near beer.
Song choice. Oh boy. Milli Vanilli. I was gonna say because it's fake. You get it.
Girl, you know it's true.
Let's go with The Less I Know Is Better. It's by a band called Tame Impala.
No freaking idea. Steve, you know who he's talking about?
Nope, never heard of
No.
him.
So
The
Mike, you
less
can
I know,
tell
the
tell us
better.
anything about this song you want, and we're gonna be like, okay, cool.
Then I don't need to tell you anything about it.
All right, okay, cool. Hey,
It's
that
just a band. It's a band that I recently picked up and uh and I kind of got into a little bit. Like I like a lot of their tunes, and they're kind of a fun band to listen to, and it's a newer band, so it's like a genre that like I'm not necessarily comfortable with. So I had to go and search out some new music, and I heard one of their songs. So I went on like a playlist at work. So I went off and started immersing myself in their music, and I kind of like them. I think they're a I don't know if they're an up and coming band or how long they've been around, but I know this album is like from at least the last decade. So
right, very
Tim and
nice,
Paula,
very nice.
the less I
Hey,
know, the better.
this has been Hey Mike, what you drinking? Kitna Brewing out
Can
of
you like sing a few bars just so that we can get a sense of
yeah. Let's hear it.
I'm not singing right now, dude.
All right.
it's because it's non-alcoholic. If he had this 10.1,
Oh, he'd be
he
singing. He'd be
oh yeah,
singing.
absolutely.
I'd be
All right.
slurring.
Hey, this is Kitna Brewing. Here we go. And Mike, well done, man. Good NA. We'll look for another one next week. Curious to hear what you got for us.
Okay.
All right. You ready to move on for my third question that I asked you guys, or my fourth, back to my first question that I asked you not to let me forget about? Here's the thing.
Here's the thing, Dave.
Here's the thing. And I'm seeking, I'm asking for like legit analysis here. I don't want a knee-jerk reaction. I don't want to hear like I'm not telling you how to respond, but I don't want to hear like, well, the history of the game and the integrity of the game. I don't want to hear any of that. Here's the preface on my question. I've been watching a lot of NBA lately. I signed up for NBA League Pass, kind of really enjoying that. Thankfully, I have a wife who played basketball, enjoys basketball, so we can watch basketball together, and like she gets it, so we're able to have those kind of fun conversations. So watching a lot of NBA and just how those games play out. I was watching a lot of U.S. college soccer, during the NCAA tournament time period, and kind of watching, UVM and watching how
Yeah.
other teams played during that time. And it has gotten me to thinking about not just the Premier League, but let's just say world football in general, and thinking about how games go, the workload that is on teams, especially teams that are in Europe or teams that send players to their national teams, etc. And it's gotten me to thinking about things like the rules around substitutes, the rules around how the game is played, even the rules around fouls. When you think about accumulated yellows and whatnot, and how that affects subsequent games, under current world football rules. And in my own mind, I can formulate a case that if you were to adjust some of those standards, and they are standards, right? Like they are expectations, yellows accumulated, it means something. A couple yellows means something. Um, Substitutions, you're limited. It expanded recently, but you're limited. We've seen a lot of injuries this year for reasons we could dig into. I think we all have hypotheses on it, but I'm curious what a change in some of those things would do to the actual integrity of the game. Would it improve it? Would it harm it? What would that actually look like? So I would love to hear your just knee-jerk reactions to that as a question. What's that look like for you as American sports fans who also love world football? How's that whole concept feel?
You know, for me in particular, the subs just feel sort of arbitrary at this point, right? Like it was
Hmm.
three, now we're up to five with only three breaks. Like I get not wanting to stop the game constantly to make these changes, but why five? Like why limit it to five at this point? Why not make it eight? Why not say unlimited substitutions? You can change whoever. Like does it really impact the game that much? We see in preseason when they do like these full side changes that the dynamic of the game changes with it. So
Sure.
it's not like coaches in the middle of the season are incentivized to make all of these changes. However, with the amount of games that are being played both at the club level and internationally, with more competition seemingly being added every other year, A lot of these guys are getting excessive play time, and I do think that that is contributing to the increase in injuries that we are seeing across not just the Premier League, but most of at least European competitive soccer.
And Steve,
And
before you go further, can I throw in also, just for you also, Mike, timeouts, right? Like the question of, could you pause a game for a strategic conversation to dictate how the game goes? Because that's clearly lacking in world football now. So I want to throw that out also, is like, would that harm the integrity or not?
yeah, I mean, I'll just finish up on the subs thing. Like at this point, we've got enough games being played. These players are out there; they're running themselves into the ground. Like just give them unlimited substitutions. Keep the three windows, right? Like you can only make three stoppages during the game, and maybe to segue into your point about timeouts, maybe that's part of it, right? Like if you're going to take a timeout, it has to be at a substitution. Two birds, one stone, and then you have to be a little strategic. Like if you really need to have that timeout in the first half, and you need to make a sub, like you have to do that at the same time. Is it worthwhile? Is your team getting so obliterated early on that you need to stop and pull somebody off just so that you can tell the rest of the team to calm down? But yeah, I don't know that it necessarily impacts the integrity, but I do think that if we can restrict the number of stoppages in soccer, like I don't want it to turn into one of those like American football type,
Yeah.
it's an
You
hour
love
and
the
a half,
2 hour
but
game,
it
don't you?
lasts, 3+ hours because of,
Sure.
stoppages and commercials. But
Yeah.
keep the time where it's at, but yeah, give them a little bit more flexibility, let them go deeper into their benches. And some teams would argue, oh, well, clubs like Manchester City have a deeper bench, so that's more advantageous to them. But I think we're seeing with this season in particular that isn't really helping Man City right now. Like, yeah, they're still at the top, but they're some of these bottom clubs are competing with them. They're taking points from them. And frankly, the players on these bottom clubs aren't exactly playing 70+ games a year, right? It's not like they have to worry about Champions League, and they're not often getting called up for their internationals. It's I don't know. To me, it is a fine balance. I can understand why it's very complex and hard to deal with, but at the same time, like this sport is evolving in such a way where the capitalist aspect of it, just making money at the expense of these players, is just damaging humans, right? It's harming these players actively. And if they can make a change that allows them to keep their money grubbing bullshit and still protects the players out there, to me, that's just makes perfect sense.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah.
So, Mike, as I come to you, let's throw in another question related to all this. What if, as VAR checks were going on, as VAR was being checked for 3, 4, 5, 12 minutes, teams got a strategic timeout during that time to motivate the refs to get that shit over with, because you're letting those teams draw up entirely new plans while you take so long to make a call. Over to you, Mike. What do you think about just the
that kind of
concepts
happens?
overall?
That kind of happens everywhere. And anyway,
It
they
inadvertently
all run
happens,
over to
but
the sidelines and they're getting water and like so. Look, part of what brought me to this game was the fact that it was mostly constant motion. It wasn't a very stop-starty game. Um and I get what Steve is saying about the injuries and and sure, maybe it's contributing to injuries. I think what's contributing to injuries is the overall sheer number of games that these players are having to play. I don't think I don't think going into the deeper into the bench is necessarily advantageous. And I know you said I don't want to hear the integrity of the game, but that's what it is. That's the way the game has always been played, and that's part of the beauty of it, right? Is that
right, but
you
VAR has not always been a thing. Like that was
no,
not always how the
it
game was always
has not,
played. So
and it's
changes
arguably
happen.
Damaged the game.
Yeah, it sucks. No question there. Agreed.
Because it wasn't done right. And adding these two substitutions in that, when it was three, the rest of Europe and South America have been in North America for that matter, have been doing 5 subs for years. For years. It took England that long to catch up. Okay. So when you say sure that you're able to go deeper into your bench, you're able to save the legs for these players, but you also made the point that teams that have more money can buy better players. It's not going to help that quote unquote money grubbing situation. It's gonna make those teams that have the money go out and spend more money to get more players that they can just substitute willy-nilly whenever they want. Now, I think it does harm the integrity of the game, the ability to make changes on the fly, the ability to have the managers trying to make adjustments on the fly by giving instructions to players that are on their touchline. It's just I think that making a change to unlimited substitutions or timeouts, sure, like especially if it's super fucking hot, these guys need breaks. But there may be a good way to do timeouts, but I think that without fundamentally changing the game, you can't do something like unlimited substitutions or timeouts. Timeouts are already happening and people are pissed off about it anyway because of VAR. Right?
So I want to congratulate you both. You both survived my test. This was actually a political litmus test. Steve, you revealed yourself to be a progressive in thought. Steve, or Mike, you are a hardcore conservative in your thought about how the game should be played or changes should be considered. So this has been Wicked Spursy Politics Edition, and overall, well done, boys. Let's talk about Burnley now. What do you think?
Burnley. That's going to be a fun.
Listeners, I wish you could see Mike's face. I
wasn't done. I'm not a fucking hardcore conservative. I'm just saying, without fundamentally changing the
You're
game.
saying we shouldn't change anything. You're saying the way
no,
things
and
should
the
be retained.
and the NCAA, they don't have they kind of have unlimited substitutions, but they don't.
Yeah, understood. It feels like unlimited, right? If you're watching a game, it's more like basketball,
right?
Is
but
that
if you come out, you can't go back in. Like you can't just say we're gonna have
they go back. They go back in the NCAA.
No. Yeah, in the second half.
Sure.
All right. You can't just say I've got a team of 5 Kevin De Bruyne's and fucking 6 and fucking 6 Erling Haalands and 3 Mo Salahs, and they're all on the fucking bench, and we're just gonna substitute them whenever we want to because like it does harm the integrity of the game.
6 Mo Salahs
My point is that a team that has the money to do it will have those fucking players on the team. And they will be substituting them at will whenever they want.
So you're saying the substitution rules protect the poorer teams from the riches of the stronger teams. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you're kind of twisting my words, but
no, I'm just assigning words to the thoughts you're sharing. That's all.
I see what you're doing here. You're trying to fucking use psychology. I mean, it's not going to work.
It is working. That's what's awesome about it.
No, I'm not going to change my position on it, but it's like I think that unless you're fundamentally changing the game, baseball hasn't been fundamentally changed.
So would you call yourself a fundamentalist when it comes to the rules?
Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm a fundamentalist, Dave. But baseball hasn't been fundamentally changed. The object of the game is the same. Basketball the same. Like the worst that they did, like with basketball, is change fouls. Like they went from 5 fouls to 6 fouls. Like the NFL is the same. Like the NFL fundamentally has not changed since really the advent of the forward pass.
Play clocks, restrictions on tackling, baseball,
fines for celebrations,
larger bases, pitch clocks, getting rid of the DH. Like those are fundamental changes, aren't they? For the good of the game.
DH was bullshit to begin with. I mean, like they didn't get rid of the DH.
Couldn't we say that
they did universal
bullshit
DH? They did universal DH. I think the DH is bullshit. It gives unfair advantages to certain teams. And that's what you're doing, is you're giving an unfair advantage to teams with more money to go out and buy more players if you're going to have unlimited substitutions. And it's going to drive up the cost of players as well. So if you're worried about the money aspect of it, then it's going to drive up the cost of players, because you're going to need more of their superstar players to substitute whenever the fuck you want to, because they're tired. They're already being overpaid.
So that would mean the best league in the world would attract more of the best players in the world, because we'd have to pay more of the best players in the world, right?
Sure.
See, here's the thing, Mike.
But we complain about the Saudi money being ridiculous, right?
Well,
And
we
how
also
how
complain
has
about
that how has that how has that
we also complain about regimes propping up, sports leagues, but that's a different,
that's
dynamic.
Sports washing and shit. Yes, I understand that, but how has that helped the game? How has that helped that league? Them spending all this money on these players. It hasn't helped their league. It hasn't helped their attendance in that league. It hasn't helped the visibility of the league. It's done nothing. It's done nothing for them, and it hasn't made them money.
Yeah,
and
I
they're
share your
that.
opinion. I share your opinion on that, but I also would throw in the word "yet" to what you're saying, right? Like they've just begun in their attempt to wash their sins by bringing in big time players, and let's be honest, they had a fair haul in the Saudi league this past summer.
Those players are trying to leave now, though.
They are, but we can't assume that's just all going to disappear and go away. And that's another cool conversation. I guess cool conversation is what I want to point out about this. I don't really care about the outcome of this conversation. I have no skin in this game, but I think it's interesting to think about, like, which rules of the game are sacrosanct and which are not, and which would make it better and which would make it worse. I think those are fun things to talk about and just kind of
I think 5 substitutions is perfect.
All right.
I think it's a perfect number.
Perfect. And Steve says unlimited, right?
Yeah, I don't see what the point is anymore.
I think stoppages are the issue. I think we've all agreed on that, right? Like unnecessary stoppages create problems. So anything you can do to avoid that would be helpful. That's all I got.
It's
boys.
the time wasting. Okay.
The time wasting is another thing. Yeah. Let's talk about Burnley. Cup match coming up on Friday. Any thoughts as we approach our wrap time?
Burnley's a garbage fucking team, and we should trounce them. That's the end of it.
Perfect. Steve, you concur?
I do concur, as a matter of fact. But that's, I don't know. There's still that old Spurs to me where I'm like, oh, this is an easy game. And that's why I'm super worried about it. But no, I mean, what sucks is that we're losing a bunch of people to various competitions, right? But, Ange should have the entire squad playing in such a way where people should, in theory, be able to step up and do their job, right? Like, we didn't see that in the cup games earlier in the season. By this point, I would expect to see much, much more from the B and C squatters. So I'm eager to see what happens in this game. But I don't have high expectations for it. I do think we get the win, but I just don't know if it's going to be as beautiful as some of the other classic Ange Ball matches.
Forgive my ignorance. Are we home or away this match?
It's a good question.
We're at home.
We're home. All right. Helpful. Very helpful.
So honestly, I think that Burnley is a garbage team. We should trounce them pretty easily with a B or a C squad. That said, this game is very important, I think, to the club and the direction that this club is going. I think this game is very important.
The psychology of the club. Would you agree, Mike? Like
a little bit. I mean, a little bit in the psychology of the fans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fans need this in order to help us get over that hump that, like, maybe we have a chance of winning the league and in a very short period of time here in the next couple of years. But I think a game like this, the way we went out in the Don't Care About Cup, The way we went out in that, I honestly think this is a very, very important game for us. But that said, Burnley, even with their top tier team, it's arguably more important for them because they're likely going back down. But even with their top tier team, I think that we can get some youngsters in there playing. I think we're going to have to have some youngsters in there playing. But we have players who are going to be getting a break here too, right? So right after that Man U game, there's a 2-week break where we don't have anything going on before we get back to Brentford. But the Burnley match, I think that it's not going to be an easy match. It's cup games. Those games are never really a blowout joy to watch.
Right.
But I mean, by all accounts, we should just destroy them. And we have those youngsters who have been playing. They've been training with the first team. Uh, uh, Unfortunately, Valise is not going to be out there, and I wanted to see a lot more of him. Hopefully, we get to see some of Jamie Donnelly. Who else is out there that's been on the bench?
Dorrington, has Dorrington been out there on the?
Dorrington hasn't. I don't think he's been out there, but he's been on the bench.
Not on the pitch, but he's been on the bench. Yeah.
Yago's been out there. He's been on the bench of the last 2 games, right? So I mean, there's a good chance that maybe we even get to see randomly a signing if it happens in the next day or two.
I gotta admit, every time I look at Twitter/X, I'm just waiting for a here we go, just like a confirm.
Here we go, confirmed.
Something's done. Yeah.
On Dragushin or whatever his fucking
anyone
name is.
good. That's what I'm hoping for, right?
The guy who looks like fucking Khal Drogo. Have you seen him? He's got the beard and the
kind of like the Eastern European Bale, basically, right?
Nah, I don't know. I don't. Let's not go there.
All right, we will not.
Bale didn't have that top notch for a while, like early on,
but he does now. So, yeah. How about closing thoughts, boys? What do you think, Steve? What do you got for us?
My closing thoughts are, I really should apologize to Tennessee at some point. And now Mike's in his own world. So yeah, this has been a really good beer.
Why are you apologizing?
I'm quite content. Well, I have been very mean to Tennessee in general, mostly because of the people, food, distinct lack of anything except for the Smoky Mountains, which are beautiful.
If you're apologizing, just kind of stop. Choose your words carefully here, okay?
I'm going to apologize to one specific part of Knoxville, because this beer, this Zool Beer Company, they make some really good shit.
Steve, can we name this episode "Steve Apologizes to Tennessee"? I think that's
sure. Yeah,
we had a Mike Hates France. We had that a while back, right? I think Steve Apologizes to Tennessee is solid. That's what you got for closing thoughts. Is it an apology?
Yeah, just the apology. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about this right now.
Appreciate that integrity, man. Way to step up. Well done, Mike. How about you?
I'm not perfect. I know a lot of people like to think I am.
None of us are, but you're pretty damn close, Steve. Pretty damn
Thanks,
close.
Dave.
Mikey, how about you, man?
Fuck your integrity. Fuck your integrity.
Oh, you're looking for another pod title? All right.
God damn, I'm just not as fun when I'm not drinking.
February,
you don't roll with the jokes as easily, for sure. You don't laugh.
I cannot wait for Super Bowl Sunday.
Is that the day? Is that go time?
Sure.
All right, perfect.
No, it'll be before that. But so yeah, my closing thoughts are these. Like, I think we had a fun year, right? Like, no, okay, I'm not gonna say we did not have a fun year. We had a fun.
Yeah. 2023 kind of sucked. Like, we're really recapping it all, like in general. But we finished strong.
The second that we finished 2023 strong. I should revise, because as soon as I said it, I was like, oh yeah, we had that thing. So we had a lot of good things happen to the club at the end of 2023, from about what, July on,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
about right.
yeah. Um, and number one is getting this wonderful coach that we didn't know anything about and didn't really want. Um, we had players that, oh, Vicky or Mickey Van de Ven was our second choice. We didn't even really want him, right? But we got him, and we love him. Like we had a lot of unknown surprises that happened. We're 4 points off the top right now. We're 1 point behind the scum. I just, and this is all due in part to Ange Postecoglou, this wonderful, wonderful Australian fella that came and stole all of our hearts and our minds. I'm just, as much as I just kind of gave up and quit last year, I am all
Love
in.
it big and instead.
Yeah, I am all in. Like the way that Pochettino used to make me feel, like when I would
You
go on to
make
see,
me
oh, what's
feel.
going on with the IDK and all this shit, like what's going on with our club, and I lost that over the past few years, and I've got it back, and it's so exciting, and it's so fun, and I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what 2024 brings us, because I think it's going to be a lot less heartache than we in our sports lives have experienced in our Spurs lives. I think it's going to be a lot less heartache and a lot more of happy times are here again. I'm just so looking forward to all of it, and being along for the ride
I
instead
like
of
that.
being dragged along for the ride.
I like that. Well put, Mike. Here's my closing thought. You think back to all those pundits. We may have even said it on our podcast, but I know that our contemporaries in the podcast world said it. Harry Kane leaving. You remember that guy? 30 league
Who?
goals. Who's going to replace those goals? And here's the answer: the rest of the freaking team is going to replace those goals. I believe I saw we have 33 goals from open play, which leads the Premier League of any other team. Like all much ado about nothing, boys. Much ado about nothing. And 2024, is it going to be perfect? No. Will we win anything? Who knows? But does it feel good in this moment to be a Spurs fan and to look forward to what Ange is doing and the change at the club and what's ahead? Feels good, boys. Feels really, really good.
It
Steve, as
does.
we leave, what would you say to our loving listeners?
Quiz.
And
Don't be an asshole.
thank you, sir. And Michael, how about you?
I just want everybody to go out there, have a great 2024, and be safe.
And what else would you have to share?
And
And then,
and then
Yes, and
uh